Kansas City, the Chiefs at the Dolphins. Again, I've been saying this is not a new thought. I've been saying this now for weeks and weeks and weeks. You can't keep this Kansas City offense down. Dolphins were a great scoring defense team. They're second in the NFL in points per game allowed, 17.7. They forced 3 turnovers. So I told you, Patrick Mahomes threw 3 interceptions. Dolphins already have a great scoring defense. You think, okay, you know what? Maybe the Dolphins win. If not, it's a very close game. And now it ended up being a close game. But with that said, the Chiefs still scored 33 points. Can't keep them down. Keep them down for a half, a drive, a quarter, even maybe 3 quarters. If you're the 49ers, 3.5 quarters. Doesn't matter. This offense is too talented. Andy Reid is too good of a play caller. Patrick Mahomes is too good of a quarterback. Travis Kelce is unguardable. Tyreek Hill is unguardable. You can only keep them down for so long. Your best bet, your only real hope of beating them is outscoring them. Dolphins just put that on display. You can make the plays on defense. They still are going to score. And they'll score in special teams. They'll return kicks. It's tough to keep them down. That's my thoughts on the Chiefs. Whew. Texans at the Bears. My goodness gracious. The Texans need help. Deshaun Watson is on a stranded island right now, on a desert island in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. He has help spelled out on the sand, right, with tree branches. He's trying to light a fire to get attention of a plane passing or a boat passing. But right now, no one's in the area. Because right now, Deshaun Watson is in the black hole. Think about it. Will Fuller popped for PEDs. They released Kenny Stills. Brandon Cooks couldn't play. So you were left to just Kiki Cutie as the number 1 wide receiver for Deshaun Watson. And if that's bad enough, right? If it's bad enough that you don't have a lot of weapons for Deshaun in offense, look at what the Texans defense yesterday did. They allowed, let me just pull up to be exact here, to the Bears. They allowed 36 points. Now, I quickly am going to do some quick math. I didn't even think about this till right now. I'm going to guess that is by far the most points scored by the Bears this season. Let me double check here. They scored 30 points against the Falcons, and that's it. They scored 30 points against the Lions, 30 points against the Falcons, and now they scored 36 against the Texans. When you are allowing a Bears team led by Mitchell Trubisky to score points on you, score 36 points, your defense is in trouble, maybe even in more trouble than the offense. This is going to be, whoever the new head coach is, whoever the new GM is, this is going to be a tear it down to the studs rebuild. You have Deshaun Watson, you have the hope there, you have really the biggest ingredient that you need to have a successful team, but you have nothing around him. Literally nothing. He is a sunflower in a desert. No one even knows how he's surviving, how he's thriving, but he is, and everything around him stinks. Flat out stinks. Whew. Offensively, defensively, the Texans need help. Deshaun Watson, these last 3 games, I'm praying for you, man. I really am. Andy Dalton. Nice for Andy Dalton. He made his return to Cincinnati. Cowboys defeat the Bengals. 2 touchdown passes against his former team. Good for him. Now, with that said, Cowboys still have a hope of the division. No chance. They're going nowhere. Good for you, Andy Dalton. Nice little revenge game, if you will, beating your former team after they decided to cut you. Deservingly so. Not an outrageous thought. Maybe you thought maybe hold on to him for a year or so, but not exactly shocking or crazy that the Bengals decided to move on from Andy Dalton to get Joe Burrow. But nonetheless, a nice return in your first return back to Cincinnati. Nice of you to get the win. Cardinals at the Giants. Cardinals got the win. I don't want to say dominated the game, but they basically controlled the game. That's a better word. They controlled the entire game. With that said, Arizona's offense didn't really instill any confidence that they could be legitimate playoff threats. They got back in the playoff hunt, right? They still now have the 7th seed because the Vikings lost. So they flip-flop with Minnesota. Murray didn't really get his legs going too much. He got a little bit going early. But I thought the key to the Arizona offense is getting Murray back running. Not running 15 times or 20 times, but running 8 times, 10 times. Not even on designed runs, just scrambles when no one's open. But this offense, didn't really look good. They benefited from 2 Giants fumbles, and really an inept Giants offense. They couldn't get the ball going at all. Took them to the third quarter to get over the 50-yard line. And despite having all these chances, right, despite having, felt the Giants punted a million times, turned the ball over deep in their zone twice, Cardinals are just 2 of 7 in the red zone. A totally stark difference than what they've done this year, so maybe it's just a one-off. But the way this offense has been trending of late doesn't give me a lot of hope, a lot of confidence that going forward, Arizona, which I thought a few weeks ago could be a real playoff contender, really, maybe make some chaos in the NFC in a conference where no one really is taking a hold of it. I don't really feel too much confidence. I mean, good for Cardinals to get off the schneid there, but offensively, they still have a lot of work to do. And if they can't go in offensively, you're in trouble. You're in trouble. Tennessee, Jacksonville, this was simple. If you can't stop Derrick Henry, you don't have a shot. 215 yards, 2 touchdowns for Derrick Henry. Good luck trying to stop any team, or good luck to any team trying to beat the Titans if Derrick Henry's running for 200 yards. Also found it really funny. 31-3 is what it took for the Jaguars to finally bench Mike Glennon and put Gardner Minshew back in. And I love, as soon as they benched Glennon, Minshew leads them right down the field for a touchdown drive. It's clear the tank is on. It's clear Jacksonville still has their sights set on the number 1 pick. Good luck trying to get it from the Jets. We'll get to them in a second here, but they are obviously not putting their best quarterback in that has a chance to win. They are playing the long game. They are trying to get that top pick. And it's just funny. You see Gardner Minshew finally get some action. Boom, touchdown right away. Jaguars know what they're doing. Minnesota at Tampa Bay. How in the world, watching this game, did Kirk Cousins go into the Dome last year with fans? Mind you, I know we haven't seen a game with a full stadium in a while. But let's not forget, even though this game happened in 2020, there was fans there. How did Kirk Cousins march into the Dome and beat the Saints in the playoffs? I don't understand it. Because yet again, here we are. The Vikings come out of nowhere, all of a sudden benefit from the Cardinals slide. As we sat here yesterday, before the game started, the Vikings had the 7th and final playoff spot. They have climbed back. They have roared back. In a game that matters, again, against a playoff team in the Buccaneers, trying to keep momentum going, Kirk Cousins shrinks again. Shrinks again in the big moment, and I don't understand how he's able to win one playoff game. I understand, even a blind squirrel finds a nut sort of analogy. But, man, this guy, 225 yards, he threw for a touchdown, sacked 6 times. And honestly, it felt like in the second half, he would drop back and just look down at the rush, and it was just like a wave coming. I just had zero confidence at all the Vikings were going to get anything going in offense. They backed up, and, man, Kirk Cousins just continues to shrink in the big moment. It is. Now, as you can hear some frustration, part of this is because in the fantasy playoffs, I started both Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson, and neither of them played well at all. Thank you to Kirk Cousins. All I need was you to throw to one of them. Maybe throw a touchdown to one, throw to the other a bunch. And Kirk Cousins instead just took sack after sack after sack. So, yes, a little bit is frustration. Because Kirk Cousins, for whatever reason, you know what? No, it's not even frustration. It's stupidity on my part. Stupidity that in a big moment, in fantasy football playoffs, I hitched my wagons to Kirk Cousins. I thought, Hill will find not 1, 2 receivers. He'll throw the ball well enough to give both of them good numbers. What an idiot. Be more dumb. So I should be mad at myself. But I am also mad at Kirk Cousins. That concludes this fantasy football segment of this show. Denver at Carolina. This is interesting because, look, Drew Lock balled out, right? Nice win for the Broncos, 4 touchdown passes. This is going to be very interesting because I honestly don't have a read right now on what the Broncos are going to do in this offseason. I think it's almost a lock. Vic Fangio will be fired. I think they'll start over from scratch with the head coach. Question is, do they really tear it all down and get rid of Drew Lock and try to draft another quarterback? A lot of quarterbacks going to be out there. There's a guy like Kyle Trask. There's a guy like Mac Jones. Maybe depending on how Trey Lance, what his combine numbers are, what the field is in the offseason, maybe if he falls down. Do the Broncos take a chance with the first-round quarterback and move out from Drew Lock? 4 touchdowns yesterday, but overall he has kind of struggled to read the field, had some immature moments. He's been an on and off, hot and cold quarterback. Yesterday he was hot, but there were also some downs as well. So I'm very interested because I really don't know so far what the direction of the Broncos is going to be. I am very interested. That's a team that I'm going to be fascinated to see what they do in the offseason. Saints at the Eagles. I hit it on from the Saints' perspective. I want to hit on the Eagles, though, because Jalen Hurts provided a real spark to this offense. Running game got going, no surprise, not only with him, but with Miles Sanders. And it's interesting, too, because it took... Now, I advocated for Carson Wentz to be benched 2 weeks ago, I think. The last week or 2 weeks ago. I thought it was a smart move because, you know what? He looked lost. The offense looked stagnant. And it just looked like everyone, I should say, could benefit from a change of scenery. Bringing a new quarterback, Jalen Hurts, the young guy, mobile, can make plays with his leg. Just give some excitement to this offense because it looked stale. It looked bland. It looked flat out lifeless with Carson Wentz. And again, Wentz was bad. He had his own issues. But a lot of other offensive line, wide receiver, running back, there was a lot of other issues, play calling. A lot went into it. And at least for one game against a pretty good team and a pretty good defense, that offense looked like it had some life. It was injected with some fun. Miles Sanders breaks off a massive run. He goes over 100 yards. Jalen Hurts goes over 100 yards on the ground. Jalen Reagor actually looked like, they finally used him in my mind for the first time all season how he was supposed to be used. And he was drafted as wide receiver. But Jalen Reagor is sort of a gadget kind of receiver. He's not a Tyreek Hill where he's super fast but also a good receiver. He's a guy to me that you just put in space. A little 2-yard screen, boom, let him run. Reverse, let him run. And they did that. 66 yards, not a lot, right? Not a game where you look at, wow, 66 yards, Jalen Reagor really had a great game. That's the most total yards he's had all season. So in a year that's been a bust so far for Reagor, in a year that everyone, when you look at Justin Jefferson, say, oh, what could have been? Man, really missed that one. They see Jalen Reagor actually get used for the first time how he's supposed to be used. And again, without a doubt, obviously, having a mobile quarterback that can make plays with his feet really made the offensive line better. So, I mean, at this point, I think it's Jalen Hurts' job for the rest of the season. Figure out what you got, and in the offseason, it's going to be an interesting conversation. The Carson Wentz cap hit is huge. You can try to flatten it out over time in a trade, but it's going to be a very interesting proposition. If Jalen Hurts plays well, you have a real decision to make if you're Doug Peterson, if he's around. Or is it time to move out from Carson Wentz? Colts at the Raiders. I'm telling you, the Colts are really starting to round into form. Yesterday's game, a flat-out domination of the Raiders, very impressive. They're running the ball really well, 212 rushing yards. Jonathan Taylor really had the best game of the season, 150 rushing yards. Philip Rivers, something I would not think I'd be saying here on December 14th. He's playing really well. I shouldn't say really well. He's playing good enough. 244 yards, 2 touchdowns. More importantly, the biggest stat with Philip Rivers, 0 INTs. The more he hangs onto the ball, the better this Colts offense is. He is doing, right now, this Colts offense is hitting their perfect stride. Yesterday was the perfect offensive game for the Colts. Establish the run it well. Philip Rivers makes some throws, use play action, throw the ball in space, don't turn it over, and take advantage of the defense when they try to come up to stop the run. And man, I'll say this. If T.Y. Hilton continues to play the way he's been playing the last few weeks, he is heating up at the perfect time. This Colts offense could go to another level if he continues his play. 86 yards, 2 touchdowns yesterday. 4 now touchdowns in the last 3 games. But why that's significant? He had 0 touchdowns the first 9 games of the year. So he is starting to get featured by Phil Rivers. They're starting to have a real connection, whether it's health, whether it's familiarity, continuity. T.Y. is starting to get open a lot, and now he is scoring touchdowns and making big plays. That's going to be a real problem for defenses if that continues in the playoffs. And quickly from the Raiders' perspective, I know they fired Paul Gunther, their defense coordinator, yesterday. Bad defense, man. LOL. Speaking of laughing out loud, Jets at Seahawks. That's the only way. That's the best way I'm going to put it out there. This game is just a laugher. Not surprising. Seahawks need a get-right game. Jets, perfect. Basically a JV squad on the field right now. Sam Darnold, I get him out of there. He needs some help. Everyone needs a change of scenery. This team needs a big makeover. 3 more games, Jets fans. That's all. 3 more games of misery before you hope. Now, I have my doubts, but you hope they could turn the corner.